introduction for the people who are new here. This is a live book reading session of the book This Is How You Heal. 19th chapter. Hello, watching video from Zoom. Hello, hi Sean. Hello, Ashish. मेरा फ़ोन ही ऑफ हो गया है, ऑन नहीं होता है. यस, आई एम फ्रॉम इंडिया. हो गया. हाँ, 2 मिनट लगेगा. आई एम ऑल्सो फ्रॉम इंडिया. ओके, बढ़िया बढ़िया.
कुछ कर ही होगा.
नहीं,
हैं?
4 घंटा लग रहा है. Okay, so 19th chapter is about how to remember you are not alone. Okay, फिर शुरू करते हैं. There are moments in life when everything feels strangely distant. You wake up, go through your routine, reply to people, maybe even laugh at things, but somewhere deep inside something feels missing. Not dramatic, not loud, just empty. And sometimes the hardest part is that nobody around you notices it. Because loneliness does not always look like isolation. Sometimes it looked like functioning normally while silently feeling disconnected from yourself, from people, from life itself. And when that feeling stays for too long, we begin believing dangerous things. We start believing that maybe we are difficult to love, maybe nobody truly understands us, maybe everyone else has found where they belong except us. But I think one of the biggest misunderstandings we have as human beings is confusing loneliness with being unworthy. They are not the same thing. Being alone does not mean you are forgotten. It doesn't mean you are broken, and it definitely does not mean your life lacks meaning. Sometimes life pulls us away from noise so we can finally hear ourselves again. Because the truth is, most of us spend years becoming version of ourselves that other people can accept. We learn how to behave, how to speak, how to avoid disappointing people, how to appear okay even when we are not. And slowly, without realizing it, we become strangers to put ourselves. This is why solitude feels uncomfortable in the beginning. Because when you finally sit alone with yourself, there are no distractions left, no conversations to hide behind, no notifications to escape into, no performances, just you. And honestly, that can feel terrifying because suddenly you are forced to meet the person underneath everything. The tired version of you, the insecure version of you, the version of you that still carries unanswered questions and invisible wounds. But maybe healing does not begin when we escape loneliness. Maybe healing begins when we stop running from ourselves inside it. You know, some of the most peaceful moments in life are actually very simple. Listening to music late at night while the world is asleep, watching rain hit the window, making coffee slowly in the morning, walking alone with your headphones on, looking at the sky and realizing how small your problems feel for a second. Those moments matter because they remind you that connection is not only something you receive from other people. Sometimes connection is what happens when you finally feel present in your own life again. The world today makes loneliness even more confusing. We are constantly surrounded by people online. We can see everyone's faces, hear everyone's opinions, know what everyone is doing every second of the day. And yet so many people have never felt more emotionally disconnected. Because visibility is not the same thing as intimacy. Attention is not love. And being surrounded by people does not automatically mean you feel seen. A lot of people are exhausted because they are trying so hard to be liked by everyone that they no longer recognize themselves anymore. Different personalities for different people, different masks in different rooms, different versions of themselves depending on who is watching. So true. And eventually that becomes heavy because pretending to belong somewhere will always feel lonelier than being alone, honestly. Real connections feel different. Real connections does not ask you to shrink yourself. It does not require you to constantly prove your worth. It does not make you afraid of being human. Real connections feel safe. It feels like being able to breathe normally around someone. Okay. No performance, no fear, no pressure to become someone else. And I think many of us spend years chasing attachment while calling it connection. We chase validation, approval, attention. We want reassurance that we matter. But no amount of external validation can permanently fix the emptiness created by abandoning yourself. At some point, you have to come home to yourself too. You have to become someone whose presence comforts you. Because the relationship you have with yourself quietly shapes every relationship in your life. If you constantly feel like you are not enough, you will keep searching for people to convince you otherwise. If you constantly abandon your own needs, you will keep attracting situations where you feel unseen. And if you never spend time understanding yourself, you may spend your whole life trying to be accepted without ever feeling truly known. This is why solitude can become powerful. Not because being alone is easy, but because it gives you space to rediscover you, who you are underneath expectations. To ask yourself honest questions. What actually makes me happy? What kind of life do I actually want? What I am pretending to enjoy just to fit in? Who am I when nobody is watching? Those questions change people, and maybe that is why growth often feels lonely in the beginning. Because sometimes you outgrow old version of yourself before before your new life fully arrives. You stand in the middle of both worlds for a while, not fully connected to the past anymore, but not completely comfortable in the future yet either. That in between stage can feel incredibly isolating, but it is also where transformation happens. I think many people are secretly grieving version of themselves they never got to become. The confident version, the peaceful version, the creative version, the version that felt free. And every time life disappoints them, they start believing it is too late. But healing is strange. Sometimes it begins in very quiet ways, through small boundaries, small moments of honesty, small act of self-respect. Sometimes healing begins the amount you stop forcing yourself to stay where your soul feels exhausted. Sometimes it begins when you finally allow yourself to rest without guilt, and sometimes it begins the day you realize you do not need to become perfect before deserving love. Oh, sorry. Because you were never meant to earn connection by suffering for it. You were never meant to prove your worth every second of your life. You are already worthy because you are human. And I know that sounds simple, but truly believing it changes everything. It changes the way you love, the way you speak to yourself, the way you walk away from things that hurt you. You stop chasing people who only value the version of you that they are they think that is convenient. You stop shrinking yourself just to avoid being abandoned, and slowly you start building a life that actually feels honest. Not perfect, not always easy, but real. So, if you are in a lonely season right now, if life feels quite confusing, emotionally heavy, or disconnected, please remember this: your loneliness is not proof that you are unlovable. Sometimes it is simply proof that your soul is asking for deeper connection that the world usually offers. And maybe this this phase is not here to punish you. Maybe it is here to introduce you to yourself. Maybe it is here to introduce you to yourself, to help you separate your real voice from everyone else's expectations, to remind you that your value does not disappear just because someone failed to recognize it. And maybe one day you will look back at this lonely version of yourself with compassion instead of shame, because this version survived, this version kept going, this version learned how to sit with uncomfortable emotions instead of constantly escaping them. And that matters more than you think. One day you will meet people who will feel like peace instead of confusion. People who do not require performances from you. People who allow you to exist exactly as you are. But before that happens consistently, you must learn to offer some of that safety to yourself too. You must become a place where your own heart feels understood. And maybe that was the missing piece all along. All along. Not becoming someone else to receive love, but finally becoming honest enough to receive it as yourself. Okay. So this was all about 19th chapter of the book. This is how you live. अगर आपको बुक अच्छी लगी या अगर आपको ये लाइव सेशन अच्छा लगा तो लाइव सेशन को लाइक कर देना और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर देना. Okay, I will see you in the next live in 20th chapter of the book. This is how you. Okay. मैंने जितने भी इसके चैप्टर्स बनाए हैं उसमें से सबसे ज़्यादा अच्छा चैप्टर ये वाला था. ओके 3 पीपल आर वॉचिंग. तो अगर आपको ये लाइव बुक रीडिंग सेशन अच्छा लगा है तो एक बार मेरा चैनल देख लेना, उसे सब्सक्राइब कर देना. आई विल सी यू